Yeah, I know my bra straps are hanging out. I know I'm a little disheveled looking. It's a heat wave, you guys. Give me a break. Hi everyone, today it's time for my update on the Hot Wallet Summer No Spend and how I am proceeding for the rest of the year. So let's just jump right into it. If you would like more context on my Hot Wallet Summer No Spend, if you would like to know more about it besides the bit I'm gonna give you here, be sure to check out the video that I have linked down below. So what was my Hot Wallet Summer No Spend? It was a 2-month no spend that started July 6th because that was when I decided to start it, because that was when I thought about it, to September 6th, which is actually the day I'm filming this video. So technically it's over at the end of today, but as you're gonna see, that's not really necessary at this point. Anyhow, the original context of the no spend was that I was not going to be buying any beauty items, any crafty items, home goods, plants, books, clothing and accessories, any of that stuff, unless I ran out and really needed something. And even then I set some pretty strict rules. Again, you can go check out that video. So let's talk about how it went. Well, ultimately, I only broke it once, although there was one other time that could technically be considered breaking it because I didn't build in an exception, but if I knew that this circumstance was going to be coming up, I would have built in an exception. One of the things I learned in my research on no spends in general is to make sure to build in your exceptions, because otherwise it becomes real easy to make everything an exception. And I'm proud to say I didn't do that, except for the one thing. We'll talk about that. So first and foremost, I guess, is the one exception that wasn't an exception but became one, and that is I bought a pair of Tiva sandals. I was looking for a pair of sandals I could wear into the water, but also wear while walking around. This very specifically came up because Jesse and we bought and I guess this wasn't part of the no spend because this wasn't actually part of the no spend at all, but like it was something he had planned on doing. We wound up buying a yearly pass to the state parks of Colorado, and we happen to live a 10-minute drive from Cherry Creek State Park, which we've been going to a whole bunch now. And one of the things they have is a really excellent off-leash dog area that's like 100+ acres, and it has a creek running through it. And the problem we started to run into was that walking around in the creek barefoot was because there's a lot of rocks. There's some rocks, there's some sand. The creek could be various levels depending on if we got a storm or not. Following the dog is really important to make sure, especially since there's a ton of other dogs there, especially on a hot day. I was having a lot of trouble with balance, and with my kidneys being the way that they are. Falling down is really not a good idea for me right now. I could put myself in a world of hurt. Having a pair of shoes that I could wear into the water but keep walking was really important. Also, fun fact, when I was a kid, we went to a reservoir in Central California. It's called Woodward. If you lived in like the Manteca, Stockton, Tracy area, you'd probably know about Woodward. When I was there as a kid, we went camping, and I went wandering into the water barefoot and stepped on a broken beer bottle that went almost entirely through my foot. I have a scar on my foot to this day that still hurts if I step on it wrong. So I have a bit of terror going barefoot into water. So I tried wearing my flip-flops in the water, which just made the balance problems worse. Wearing flip-flops in a moving creek is not a good idea. Jess has diabetes, type 1, and so his feet are it's very important that we maintain his feet, because even a small cut on his feet could cause real problems for him. We got some water shoes that will be basically for wearing either then or if we take our inflatable kayak out, which was an anniversary gift from Jesse's dad. So again, I did not build an exception in for those, but I did not see the need for them at the time. And it got to a point where I wasn't gonna wait until the 6th when we've been going almost every weekend. My health was more important than a no spend in this point. And even though they're not the cutest sandals in the world, we took them out there this last weekend and it was worlds better. So totally fine with that purchase. The purchase that I made that definitely I consider breaking the no spend, and it not just because I shouldn't have within the rules, but also I did the thing I'm trying to break myself of, which is buying shit without thinking about it. And I was doing so well until last week. We went to the Maidenform out. I think it's Hanes, but it's for Maidenform. The main reason being that both Sunny and I have had the best luck finding bras that are our correct size. Neither of us have very common sizes, and so we've always found bras that we both like and are comfortable there. And Sunny actually needed something to wear underneath their cosplay because they went to an anime convention this past weekend and had these Sailor Moon style costumes, but because of the material, the outlines of all of their undergarments were showing, and it didn't look great. And so we wanted to get them some sort of like bodysuit type situation to camouflage that. And we found one that really worked for them, which is great. However, while I was there and Sunny was trying things on, I was perusing the clearance racks and I picked up a couple of racerback tank tops. Now, to be fair, my old tank tops, like I had bought these ones before my no spend that are like nice, but I needed, like I always am in need of like for workouts or for sleeping or for just bumming around the house. Finding tank tops that are long enough on me, as I'm 6'2", is very difficult. And I found them and I was like, hell yeah, and they're on clearance, and I bought them and then walked out to the car with Sunny and was like, fuck my life, I just broke my no spend. It didn't even occur to me until I got into the car because they were clearance, I couldn't return them. I was like, fuck it, I'll keep them. It wasn't even that much money, but that's besides the point. That was exactly the sort of thing I have been looking to avoid, and the big way I've been avoiding it is by staying out of stores that cause me to buy this shit and unsubscribing. Like, you know, I love being subscribed to things like Tombow newsletter so I can see when their new shit is coming out, but I unsubscribed to all of that as much as I could just to keep the temptation away. As soon as I walk into a store, that wasn't one that I super thought about when it came to my no spend, I completely lost the progress I made. So that is something to keep in mind as we move into my next phase of this. Another few things I learned, some tips, if you will. First and foremost, it was easier for me to avoid temptation when I was by myself, because when I was by myself, I could make choices like not going into the store. But when I was with someone else, like with Sunny at the Maiden Farm store, that was when things got harder. It also was difficult with Jesse. He and I went to go get some lunch and we happened to be nearby a Guitar Center, and I was like, sure, you go into Guitar Center. That's like, for him, it's one of his favorite places to go. And he's like, well, it's right next to Home Goods and Michael's. Why don't you go into those? And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm on a no spend. And he's like, would you want me to buy you something? I'm like, no. So like other people, I have noticed, whether directly or indirectly, that was an area for me with some tension where I was having harder and harder time sticking to things for various reasons. But a lot of those reasons seem to be tied to being with somebody else. Not that I'm blaming the somebody else. It's just something that I'm observing to keep in mind as I move forward. When it came to online shopping, I did really start to use the wish list function more often. I thought, well, if I had something I wanted, I'm gonna stick it on my wish list, and then when the no buy is over, I'll take a look at it. And I'm moving into my next phase of this no buy, so that might not even be accurate, but it doesn't really matter because I don't even remember what I put on my wish list, so it must not have been that big of a deal. Now, one thing I was worried about was going into Target. Target has historically been one of my difficult stores to get in and out of without making like boo-boo decisions. And I had said originally that my only time I was physically going to go into Target was when I was taking RJ school shopping, which I did do. Didn't buy anything for me. Fuck yeah, Cindy. That was the one I thought was gonna trip me up, not bra shopping with Sunny. It wound up not working out that way. I did wind up having to go into Target a few times to do some grocery shopping because I just didn't have time to place the order or whatever. And I realized the biggest tip here was to just avoid the sections of the store that are the danger zones for me. And with the way Target is set up, at least the ones in my neighborhood, that's actually not that difficult to like stay away from like the stationery supplies and the home goods areas and the clothing areas. There's a whole chunk of the store I just avoided and just went to the grocery section and the pharmacy section and the like cleaning chemicals section. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I go buy my laundry soap, buy food for the house, buy RJ, you know, some shampoo, and I was fine. The makeup wasn't really appealing to me. That was one of the areas I felt really good about my approach to this whole no-buy thing. The makeup area was really easy to avoid. That felt good to know that I did have a level of self-control there. And then finally, one random thing that happened that I wasn't expecting to happen. It was not something I anticipated, and it wasn't even really something I included in the no-buy, but kind of helped. Part of my no-buy was not buying any more houseplants. Well, one of my biggest temptations of houseplants is Trader Joe's, because when they have good houseplants, they have great houseplants. When they don't have good houseplants, it's not as good, but like sometimes they're on. And usually that's a problem for me because you walk right through the plants in almost any Trader Joe's that I've been to. The flowers and the plants are right at the front door. Well, one of the things that kept me from even lingering in that section was Odin, my cat. And it wasn't because of the plants. It was because of the flowers. Odin has gone full kitten menace mode, which was understandable. He's like 6.5, 7 months old now, maybe, question mark? I don't know how old he is, but he's in like full kitten menace mode. And his biggest menace is climbing up on counters and knocking shit off. So buying I used to just buy flowers every time I went to Trader Joe's so we'd have some fresh flowers in the house, but I stopped doing that because I don't want Odin to knock them everywhere. So that kept me like basically hustling through the plants with not even a thought to stick around in there, because the only thing I would allow myself to buy from there was like highway to the danger zone with a destructive kitty in our midst. Now that I've gone over the kind of my experiences with this last no-buy, my 2-month summer no-buy, I am moving into something that's going to extend through the end of 2022. This is not catchy. I could not think. If you could think of something catchier, leave it in the comments. Hashtag low-buy holidays. I was doing so much Googling for like synonyms and things to find something with awesome alliteration, and it didn't happen. So low buy holidays is going to extend to the end of 2022. Now this may be gearing towards a full-blown no buy for the entirety of 2023. That's something I have been strongly considering, but I'm not quite there yet. We'll talk more about that in upcoming videos. But in the meantime, let's talk about this low buy holidays and give you an idea of what it is that I am thinking about doing. Now, first and foremost, setting a full no buy during the holidays seems kind of like setting myself up for failure, especially considering there is just so much going on during the holidays that sort of compels us to spend money. And so it occurred to me that setting some boundaries while still understanding that there probably should be some flexibility in there was at the top of my mind when I was thinking about this. Oh my God, why is my face so itchy? Isn't that attractive? That it is. So I decided to pick kind of a middle ground of setting boundaries, and the way I'm doing this is to divide it into kind of 2 broad sections. My no-buy categories and my budget limit categories. So we're going to talk about both of them. The no-buy categories are very similar to what they were in the summer no-buy. So I'm going to be, if you notice me looking down, I've got notes on my phone because I'm not going to remember most of this shit, at least not at first. Although I did discover as the 2 months went on of the summer no-buy that it didn't take very long at all for me to start to just get the hang of it, like internalize it, but we'll worry about that later. All right, so my no-buy categories, I'm basically keeping them the same as before with some built-in exceptions, which are somewhat similar, a little bit different. Not bringing you a whole list of stores I'm not gonna go into because I realize that there's some of these stores like I might need to go into for whatever reason, and in other cases, part of it is that like I can't hide from Michael's for the rest of my life. So I need to get to a point where I can go in there just for the thing I'm in there for. So that's something I kind of want to work on over the course of this. Anyway, so the categories, and I'm going to go a little deeper into them in a second, but the categories are beauty, crafty, general home goods, more on that in a minute, plants, books, and then like the general clothing category, which is clothes, shoes, accessories, etc. So beauty. Under beauty, I am putting skincare, makeup, hair care, body care. Under crafty, it's planner supplies, stationery, art supplies, and other miscellaneous crafty shit. General home goods, home decor, mostly home decor, but like linens and kitchen shit, tchotchkes, blah, blah, blah. For plants, it's mostly house plants. And also I was going to plant my green stock for fall, but I just don't think I'm gonna have time to maintain it this year. So I think I'm just gonna let it go dormant until next year. But there will probably be some outdoor plant purchases within the next few weeks, mainly because we are in the middle of a landscaping project in our front yard. And so Jesse's basically my check on this. So really the plant thing is house plants and like outdoor plants that I'm buying just for the fun for me, not things that we made a decision on together to put into our front yard. And then my last category is books, which is buying any new books, Audible, Kindle, whatever. I have a handful of exceptions. For beauty, the exception is if I run out of a product, I can repurchase that category of product if I don't have a suitable replacement. So for example, I ran out of mascara while I was on my no spend, and I had another mascara. So my favorite mascara, but it's another mascara that I hadn't opened yet that I happen to have. When this mascara runs out, I will likely repurchase the one I like the most, because I have discovered as I'm using this one that I missed the one that I like the most. The important thing is I don't have another mascara to replace it with. On the other hand, if I run out of lip gloss, of my lip gloss that I'm using right now, I can't replace it because I already have other lip glosses. Even if I don't like them as much, I liked them enough to buy them at one point. So I'm gonna use those. The area I'm pretty sure is going to be the first, and probably, not counting skincare because like I go through cleanser, you know, I wash my face twice a day and like shit like that. But like the thing I'm pretty sure I will be needing is hand cream and then like body lotion. The good thing is that I've been using my Trader Joe's body butter that I got at the beginning of the summer before my no spend. When I ran out of my other one, I just started using that one. I'm getting close to the end of it, which is good because then I might buy the First Aid Beauty one for the winter because I found that one works a lot better for me when I start getting alligator skin here because of the Denver complete lack of humidity. Anyway, moving forward. My crafty exception is basically the same exception as my beauty exception, and this is one that I didn't stop to think about until I ran into it last week. If I run out of a product, I can repurchase in that category if I don't have a suitable replacement already. So for example, if I run out of like adhesive tape runner, then I can buy another adhesive tape runner, because if I don't have any other adhesive tape runner, because that's something I use. I actually ran into the problem with that because the pen that I was using ran out, and I, for some reason, didn't have the same tip size. It's gonna sound so weak, but like I was in the middle of my planner week and I did not want to have a different, obviously different pen size being used in the same week. So I went to Michael's and I happened to have a $10 voucher that was expiring. So I bought the pen using the voucher. So technically I don't think that counted, and it's all I got was the pen. But that reminded me that I might need an exception for that. Although to be fair, I have so much shit that I shouldn't need to replace anything. But there are certain things where it's a specific thing that I use that if I run out of it, that specific thing needs to be replaced. Like if I run out of a Zig Clean Color dot pen, I do have other dot pens that I have tested. I really don't like them. You can watch that video to find out. So if I run out of one of my dot pens inks, I will want to replace that. Now for clothing exceptions, I actually did some real thinking about this because we are going to be going into a different season, and with living in Colorado in the winter, etc., there are things that I might need, but I think I have everything. The one thing I'm not entirely certain of is gloves. I need gloves that are like snow repellent, like waterproof gloves, but then also just regular, like warm mitteny style gloves for dog walks where I'm not touching the snow. I'm pretty sure I have both of those. If I don't, I will just buy the pair of gloves that I need. But the big thing I know I'm going to need is a couple new pairs of jeans. The skinny jeans that I've been wearing for the past who knows how many years have finally like tore out at the crotch, you know, because that's a thing that fucking happens. And I have discovered that even though I have some flare jeans and some other like boot cut jeans, I prefer skinny jeans for the winter because you tuck them into your boots, they don't get all wet. So I do need to get a couple pairs of skinny jeans once we start getting into the season. But other than that, I have a coat that's fine, just needs to be dry cleaned. I have hat, I have scarves, I have boots. Layla chewed up one set of my boots last year. They're still usable, but I also have another pair, so I really don't need to get anything else for myself. If I have to get something for the kids or whatever, that's one thing. But for me, no sweaters, none of that. I should be fine through the end of the year. We already talked about my plants exception. Only plants I am allowing under my exception is plants for the landscaping project, and in this case, it is something to mutually decide on with Jessie. And then finally, the book exception. There's one book I plan to buy. My grandmother passed away recently. She had a mountain of pictures. My sister and my cousin had been going through them, separating out all like the out of focus pictures of someone's foot, because apparently there's lots of those. There's a lot of other really awesome ones. My cousin is putting them together in a photo book that's going to track from my grandpa's birth in like the early part of the 20th century and all the way through 2019, which was the last year we did fake Thanksgiving before COVID. And so my grandma was there for that. And she's going to have it available on Blurb like we did with our family cookbook. And I plan to buy at least one, if not more copies of that. So I don't really think that counts, but it is a book and I am going to buy it. So those are all of my no-buy exceptions. The second category, and this one I think is the one that is the most important when it comes to the holiday season, and that is my budget limit categories. I'm not going to give you specific numbers, in part because some of those numbers we haven't developed yet, and in part because I mean, if you really want them, let me know. And when I do an update video in October, then by then they should be really firmed up. Most of these, 99.9% of this, are not going to go really into effect until at least October anyway. So there is that. So the first one is for holiday home goods and decor. I'm going to have a specific budget for adding to my holiday decor. The way that I do things is that I don't redo my whole house in something different every year. I just add to it little by little. It's what we did at the house in Napa. And then when we moved here, we actually donated most of our holiday stuff because a lot of it was stuff we bought specifically for that house and it just wasn't going to work here. So I am building my collection. We're going to set a budget and I'm going to thoughtfully add to it this year. Secondly is a planner and crafty shit budget. And this actually revolves around 3 specific kind of purchasing moments. The first one is Black Friday / Cyber Monday. This is where I want to purchase my, like, any stickers I want to buy for next year because, like I said, I'm strongly considering doing a year-long no-buy, and I'm trying to use up the stickers I already have. I have so many, but if I want to buy any kits or if they're available, any monthly kits for my new planner, more on that in a second. I think my majority of stickers I'm going to be buying for the following year is going to happen around that time, so I'm going to definitely set myself a budget for that. The second planner / crafty shit purchasing moment is going to be for One Little Word 2023. I've been really enjoying doing it this year, and if I decide I'm not going to do it next year, then this just gets knocked right off of the list, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it next year, and so when that stuff is released, I'm going to be ordering the kit and the binder and paying for the class for next year. So my One Little Word purchasing moment is my second moment. And with that one, I'm not necessarily setting a budget. I'm just not, I know what I'm buying. The kit, the yearly kit, binder, and the class. I'm not going to buy random other shit. I have enough random other shit to begin with. And then the third one is my new planner stuff for 2023. I am going to still be buying planners for work to review them for the channel, but if I need to buy anything else to kind of finesse my setup for the new year, then that's what I'm going to do. But it's not going to be, let's buy all these things and decide later. No. I'm not going to spend money on shit for 2023 unless I know that's what I'm going to use. So that's the other thing. So that might not be one moment. That might be a few moments depending on how things get released and whatnot. But I'm going to sit down, figure out what my setup is going to be at least at the start of the year, purchase the things that need to be done for that, and then be done with it. So those are my crafty, plannery, purchasing moments. So maybe not budgets except for Black Friday, but more specifically like intentional, I hate that word, spending. Big one for the holidays for us at least is a gifts for other people budget. That's going to be set by Jesse and I, and it's going to encompass, we're probably going to set up specific budgets for each other and for the kids, and then sort of a more generalized budget for the rest of our family. The big thing is going to be the extra cost, which I think won't be budgeted, is probably the cost to mail things, depending on how things go, but I'm not worried about that. And then finally, my last holiday budget is going to be our fake Thanksgiving budget, which I can't set a firm number amount for a couple of reasons. For one, that weekend is going to be combined with my grandmother's memorial service, so I don't know exactly how things are going to go. And for two, the way that we have done it in the past is that me and my sisters will go shopping to buy all the things for the stuff that we are providing, and then we just divide it into thirds. So it's kind of hard for me to set a budget for that because I don't know how big our guest list is going to be yet, and I don't know with the cost of food and everything rising. I can't predict how much I'm going to owe for that, so budgeting for that is a little different. When it comes to like the hotel room and everything else, we're going to try and keep that under budget, but when it comes to the spending during that weekend, it just needs to be sort of flexible. But when it comes to that trip, all of the other rules still apply, like buying beauty care or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did have to buy something on my trip to Oregon. I had to buy some toner because my toner, I didn't refill it before I left, and I didn't realize that, and so I needed something, especially because like it's also high desert. If I don't have something to spray my face after I wash it, I tighten up really quickly before I put on my moisturizer. If I forget anything, I can buy that, but again, trying to just be thoughtful. So those are my categories for my no spend for the end of the year. I am hoping to gear towards a big no spend for the entire year of 2023, but like I said, I'm still working on that. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Are you going to join me on any of this? Is any of this interesting to you? Are you going to be doing no spends but with your own categories? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. If you did participate in Hot Wallet Summer, give me your experiences in the comments below as well. I'm likely going to be doing some more consumerism videos in the next few weeks, mainly because fuck if the planner marketing, it's so intense right now. So if that's something you're interested in, if you want consumerism topics, leave them in the comments below as well. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, my dudes, peace.